Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're opening up the historical file on Philippians 4:13, and we're asking a pretty massive question. Have we been reading history's most hijacked verse completely backward? Seriously, we see this text everywhere in our modern culture. But when you actually put it under the microscope, looking at the history, the original language, and the context, the entire meaning just completely flips.
I mean, you've definitely seen this one, right? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's plastered on championship shoes, tattooed on fighters right before they step into the ring, printed on the coffee mugs of ambitious entrepreneurs. It is the ultimate motivational tagline. Culturally, we treat it like the spiritual cheat code. It's like this ironclad guarantee that if you just have enough faith, you're going to win the big game, land that massive promotion, or crush literally any physical obstacle in your way.
But what if we've been using it entirely backward? Like, what if this famous text isn't actually about winning at all? What if, at its core, it's fundamentally about how to handle losing? To figure this out, we really need to deconstruct how we currently use the verse and then contrast it with the gritty, real-world reality of where it actually came from.
Let's start with Section 1, the modern myth and the formula for success. As we just mentioned, the modern world basically treats this text like a cheat code. It all boils down to this unspoken formula we've created. You take your own personal ambition, you add in your absolute maximum effort, and then you just sprinkle in a little divine strength. The assumption is that this equation equals guaranteed success. It's kind of treated as a blank check for human ambition, where the divine is just that final, magical ingredient you need to push yourself over the finish line.
But hold on, because treating this text as a blank check creates a massive, glaring, logical paradox. Think about it. If a runner uses this verse to win a race, what happens to the runner who comes in second place who prayed the exact same thing? Does the second place finisher's failure mean they just didn't have enough faith? If it's truly a formula for guaranteed victory, well then any loss suddenly becomes a spiritual failure, and that just doesn't add up.
Which brings us to Section 2, the historical timeline. Let's transport back to AD 61. To actually solve this paradox, we've got to step way past the bumper sticker slogans and rewind the clock. Let's drop right into the year AD 61, which is when a man named Paul actually wrote this letter. Now, spoiler alert, he wasn't standing on a podium holding a shiny trophy, and he certainly wasn't celebrating some massive financial windfall.
The contrast here is wild. Instead of our modern assumptions, the podiums, the trophies, the victories, the historical reality is incredibly grim. In AD 61, Paul was literally sitting in chains. He's under house arrest in Rome, facing a very real death sentence. He's isolated, physically exhausted, stripped of all his comforts, and completely dependent on his friends just to bring him enough food to survive the week.
So, wrap your head around this. When Paul penned the words, "I can do all things," from that dark, isolated room, he wasn't talking about hitting a game-winning shot. His all things meant surviving freezing cold nights on a hard stone floor. It meant enduring public shame. It meant facing the literal, everyday threat of execution. The context here couldn't be further from a packed sports arena or a sleek corporate boardroom.
All right, moving to Section 3, forensic linguistics, where we are decoding the Greek.
To truly understand how a verse written in a prison cell became a slogan for luxury and winning, we need to forensically examine the original Koine Greek text. In English, we read, "I can do all things," but the actual Greek word used for "I can do" or "I am able" is ischyō. And here's the kicker. It doesn't mean to conquer or to accomplish massive external tasks. It literally translates to be strong, to be healthy, or to endure. It's a word of resilience, guys, not a word of conquest.
And honestly, we don't even have to look that far to prove this. Just look at the immediate context. One single sentence prior, in verse 12, Paul explicitly defines his all things. He writes, "I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want." He is literally spelling it out for us. His all things is the ability to maintain his internal state, completely regardless of what chaos is happening around him. That leads us to Section 4, the true revelation of supernatural contentment.
This right here completely flips the narrative. The verse isn't about shifting your external reality to match your desires. It's about maintaining a rock-solid internal anchor when your circumstances completely fall apart. And this is exactly why this matters for us today. Paul's secret wasn't that his circumstances would miraculously change. It was that he'd be sustained right through them. It means you can lose the job you love and still be whole. You can face a terrifying medical diagnosis and not give in to absolute despair. And hey, on the flip side, you can experience incredible abundance without losing your humility.
So the true strength promised here, it isn't some supernatural performance enhancer that ensures you'll always come out on top of the competition. No, it's supernatural contentment. It is the unbreakable, unshakable resilience to know that no matter where you land in life, whether you're sitting in a literal prison or lounging in a luxurious palace, you absolutely cannot be shaken.
So the next time you see this famous quote plastered on a sports jersey or as a trending hashtag on a social media post, I want you to remember that prison cell. Remember that true strength isn't actually measured by the shiny trophies we collect on our shelves. It's measured by the peace we keep when everything else in our life is stripped away. And that, my friends, is a kind of strength that no scoreboard can ever measure. If history's most famous verse about winning is actually a masterclass on how to endure losing, well, it kind of makes you wonder what other ancient texts we've completely misunderstood. What happens when we stop trying to use these words to change our circumstances and let them change us instead? So, what text should we put under the microscope next? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next explainer.